guys, welcome back.
This week we're making one of Susan's very favorite desserts.
Breakfast item.
Pain au chocolat.
Chocolate croissant.
I've seen you get one almost every single place that we go.
It's the best.
And it's only 63 steps and 2 days worth of work.
So I guess we should get started.
Let's get started. Now, thankfully, each of these steps, they're all gonna be pretty manageable. It's a lot of the stand mixer and it's a lot of rolling. So to start, we are gonna add 500 grams of all-purpose flour to the bowl of the stand mixer. 50 grams of sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt. Then we need 60 grams of unsalted butter cut into 4 pieces. It's slightly fancier than our grocery store brand butter. You can't use an actual good European butter for this recipe though. There'll be too much fat in it. While that normally sounds like a great thing, you don't want butter leaking out of the sides. This is room temperature butter as well. The last piece of this is 1 tablespoon of yeast.
That looks expensive.
It is expensive. I can say that because Red Star has yet to give us any money for this. So we have our dough hook attachment and we are gonna run this on medium-low for 1 minute. This is just gonna help evenly distribute it a little bit. And now we've got 1.5 cups of whole milk that we're gonna slowly add, making sure to scrape the sides down as we go. Like with anything flaky, a lot of this is gonna depend upon the butter and the temperature control. Before the butter melts, we're not gonna have the right texture. We need it to melt while it bakes. Now that all of our milk has been added, we're gonna increase the speed to medium. This is gonna go for 5 minutes. So now most of the hard work is done and we didn't even do it. So all that's left to do is we are going to flour a baking sheet. I've got a silicone mat on. And with floured hands, we are going to remove our dough. A bit sticky. I'm just gonna work this into a ball. Gonna flatten it out a little bit just to make things easier for us later. This just gets wrapped, covered, and refrigerated for 30 minutes. So our dough has had a chance to sit for a half hour now, and that's gonna make it a little easier to roll out. Also, we're already on step number 14, so that is not too terrible. But now is when we start to get a little bit particular, and it is going to be particular. This is French baking after all. So with a bit more flour, we are looking for a 10-inch by 14-inch rectangle. So that's almost the entire length of my silicone mat. And as you can see, it's not gonna wanna be a rectangle. You are gonna have to coax it in there. But it's not too bad to shape because it is pretty cold. It's not perfect, it's not beautiful, but it is 10 inches by 14 inches, and I think this is gonna work. So now, all we need to do is transfer it back to our pan. We're gonna recover it and we're gonna refrigerate it from 4 to 24 hours. So now that's rested overnight. We just need to put together our final piece of the croissant, the butter layer. In a bowl, I've got 400 grams of unsalted butter, room temperature. And to this, I'm adding 16 grams of all-purpose flour. We're just gonna beat this together until it's smooth. That should be good enough. The flour is gonna give it some stability, and by mixing it up first, we're gonna make it a little easier to work with. So now we've got a second baking sheet lined with parchment paper this time, or a silicone mat if you've got one. And we are going to spread our butter onto it into a 7-inch by 10-inch square. Like before, it's very important to be very precise. I think that will do. This is just gonna go back into the fridge uncovered for a half hour, and then we'll be ready to start making our layers. You'll notice that most of the things that we're doing is just waiting for it to finish. It's not terribly difficult, even if it is a bit finicky. So now we are ready to assemble our pieces. This is the stage where we wanna be a little bit quick about it. I'm going to lightly flour the counter. We have our chilled dough, and then right in the center of it, we're gonna add our chilled butter. Then, just like a letter, we are gonna fold our dough over it. And now we're gonna roll this into a 10 by 20 inch rectangle. That is pretty close. Now we're just gonna fold it like an envelope once more. We're gonna do the same thing one more time. Same process as before. And this is gonna go back into the fridge for another half hour. And now one final time, we are gonna roll out our dough. And next, surprisingly enough, we're gonna throw it back in the fridge and wait another 4 to 24 hours. We've been letting it go for the full day each time though, just to build up as much flavor as possible. Since it's a yeasted dough, the longer it sits up to a certain point, the better it's gonna taste. Tomorrow is gonna be all shaping and chocolate. And hopefully eating, but we'll see. All right, good morning here at day 3. Our dough has chilled overnight. And we are gonna roll it out one final time, this time only 8 by 20 inches. So now we have our 8 by 20 inch rectangle, and I am just gonna slice it right down the center. I'm gonna slice it once more in the middle. I'm gonna slice each of those in the middle. And then I'm gonna slice each of these in half lengthwise. So this is currently about 4 inches, and I want it to be twice that length. So I'm gonna just gently roll it out to be 8 inches long. In the center of it, I'm gonna put a few pieces of our bittersweet chocolate. Seam goes on the bottom, and this goes onto a parchment lined paper. So I'm gonna roll all these up, and they're gonna sit out for 1 hour to proof. These guys have proofed for 1 hour, and now they just need to go back into the fridge one final time for 1 to 12 hours. And I feel like in for a penny, in for a pound. So I think I'm gonna go the full time. We'll have hit every maximum time limit that we have, just to eke out every little bit of flavor and justify the 3 days we've put into this. 12 hours have passed, and we are now on step 59 of 63. We're so close now. Our croissants have rested in the refrigerator for 12 full hours. This puts the total resting time at nearly 60 hours, I believe. The very last thing that we had to prepare is our egg wash, which is 1 whole egg and 2 tablespoons of whole milk. This we're just going to lightly brush onto each of our croissants. And while that goes, we have an oven that is preheated to 400 degrees. Now we are ready to bake for 20 minutes. And we are gonna flip these halfway. This is a bit of work. So here we are at long last. Pan au chocolat in hand. There was an issue though with butter leakage. A fair amount of butter did leak out the bottom of the croissants. Pretty heartbreaking. Apparently, underproofing can cause that problem. So I guess next time we're gonna have to leave it in for 6 days.
Are you ready to try this?
I am ready to try these. They are so flaky. They're so delicate. Can you hear that? It's every time I touch it. You're all right.
These are really good. It's exactly what I want in a croissant.
That is so tender. That is so flaky. There's a good amount of salt, I think, on the outside.
It's buttery.
It's buttery.
It's soft.
The best part is definitely the chocolate, though. And we doubled the amount of chocolate that was in the recipe. And I would argue this isn't nearly enough chocolate.
I argue to put more chocolate in there.
You did. I said that's insanity. You've gone too far. I'm gonna eat like 6 of these. It's really good with the powdered sugar on top too.
That's too sweet.
Perfect balance. You got sweet on top, salty and buttery in the middle, and then chocolate right at the core.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I always knew there was a lot of butter in croissants, but after seeing how much butter was actually in a croissant.
This is how much butter is in 16 croissants though.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm not gonna lie, I hate croissants. I hate flaky biscuits. I hate flakiness. I think it's garbage, crumbly. Like it's like if crackers were thinner and just made a mess, brittle crumbs. That does nothing for me. This was delicious.
It was delicious.
What would you change?
More chocolate.
More chocolate for sure. Since you are a pain au chocolat connoisseur, how would you say these compare to your usuals?
I'd say these are pretty close to my usuals.
Pretty close, meaning that they fell short though?
Well, the middle was kind of hollow, like more so than I expected. Usually it's like more dense, and I'm not disliking it.
I feel like yours are usually bigger though, like 2 or 3 times the size.
Oh yeah, see, I don't like it too big. I like these. I like this
Small
size.
ones?
Yeah, and I don't like them too flaky either.
It seems like a lot of work. You say 3 days, 63 steps. That sounds like a lot of work. This was almost no work at all for me though. We threw the dough in the stand mixer and then we rolled it out a few times. That wasn't a lot of hands-on work.
All the rolling?
Rolling's not that difficult. Turning the stand mixer on wasn't that hard.
We'll see what everyone else says. Comment below.
And also, it didn't need to be a 3-day affair. We took these time limits all the way to the extreme. We could have gone the exact opposite direction and taken out days. And I think they freeze well both before they're baked and after. All in all, we've made a lot harder recipes. Any recipe where we have to prep vegetables or if we have to simmer something for an hour, that's a lot more hands-on work and consideration than these were. These surpassed my expectations.
He doesn't even like chocolate croissants.
I don't even like croissants at all. These, I really do want to eat a second one. That's all we have for you this week though. Make sure to tune in every Wednesday and Sunday for more content. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye.